I'm doing another kitchen sink microscopy. Our usual Sunday live stream. We are uh, thinking of talking about facts, fact checking ourselves because we've got, well, as my shirt implies here, if we can't agree on anything else, at least we can agree the system is broken. And
Yes.
let's fix it together. And
And that
one
that
thing,
is, yeah.
yeah, like one thing you have to do if you want to fix things is acknowledge what's broken, even within your own organization or whatever,
Yeah.
And
Your own set of knowledge.
yeah, and we get shit wrong all the time. So,
Sure. Well, I mean, because we yammer on all for hours and stuff. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have
well,
some
it's the
mistakes.
nature of gathering knowledge. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
memories deteriorate over time.
yep,
Sometimes you take things for granted when you hear them, like especially from your parents or whatever, and you just kind of
yeah.
carry that with you. And um,
Hmm.
like I think I heard it from my dad, and then I told you, and it's come up on the show often about ancient Chinese doctors only getting paid if you were actually well. It's
Hmm.
actually, I mean, there's a lot of anecdotes that carry that information around, but there's really nothing to say that that's solidly credible. Uh,
Yeah.
no
Well, and
historical record of that. So,
yeah, exactly. Well, so it's like it perhaps it's just kind of like word of mouth that um these little anecdotes that maybe it did happen
or
sometimes, but it
maybe it
wasn't
was
common.
an ancient Chinese version of this show where they're like, you know what it should be? And then people are like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good idea. That's how it
yeah,
should be
yeah,
done.
exactly. Well, and a lot of our discussions are not necessarily factual. They're more philosophical in nature, where we're kind of
Right.
pondering a variety of ideas, but
Yeah.
having solid information is helpful when you want to discuss something that you want your all your ducks to be in a row, so to speak.
Right. Well, and yeah, I mean, an important part of constructing a philosophy like the one that we're hoping to kind of congeal into
Mm-hmm.
a more practical application in the real world is that facts do intertwine
Mm-hmm.
with the formation of a philosophy. Like
Oh yeah.
if you're building your assumptions based off of faulty facts, then those assumptions are kind of going in the wrong direction, aren't they?
Well, and
Uh,
like we've talked about, our whole kind of mo, I guess, for this whole process is science and engineering.
yeah.
It should kind of flow in that sort of way. And so, yeah, if you're building off of bad data, well,
Yeah.
I mean, it also too, because it's like there's a lot of things we may not necessarily know, or that may not necessarily apply, even though it's like, oh well, we know these facts, but this is something different, so it may or may not apply. It's still important to address those things, and it could be a time saver too. Like, oh well,
Hmm.
now you don't have to guess and just try a bunch of things and see what sticks. You've got a more solid foundation, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's important. And it would be unique in governmental or national management structures for there to be any kind of I don't want to say consequences, but people saying, oh oopsie, I was wrong. They never do that, ever.
Yeah.
They're like, they never admit that they're wrong. It's always like, oh well, I'm sorry that you feel bad because of it's like, what? Wait, you're just flipping that.
Right.
Wait, now I'm the bad guy. Wait. Hmm.
Yep. Yep.
Hmm.
Passive aggressive governance.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and of course they just never. It's like word salad and stuff to make excuses and stuff. And it's like, no, you were wrong.
Yeah.
That's and that's important, I think. And I really wish that was a more prevalent part of our political structure. I think I'd respect politicians a hell of a lot more because we know most of them, when it comes to figuring out what to do and how to manage things, they're idiots. They're all a bunch of idiots. Now, there's a lot of intelligent people, that are in those positions. But when it comes to making decisions, they're idiots. It's like they don't, they're in the wrong line of work, essentially. Um, or they're just evil. That's another thing too. It's actually pretty common as well, that they're just bad people.
Yeah.
And they're making decisions that benefit them and have nothing to do with helping the common person.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see that more. I'd respect an idiot who says, "Well, I fucked up,"
Yeah.
and that, and just there it is. Like, okay, well, yeah, okay. At least you can own up to it, and now we'll move on from there.
Yeah.
But they never do.
Actually, what I as something semi-related to this, as kind of a cool experiment with introducing like fact checking into this wiki we're building.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, you know what a really cool episode to test this on would be is the one that YouTube deleted,
Oh, yeah,
our interview with the anti-vaxxer.
yeah.
Because I, which for context, was a two-part episode
Mm-hmm.
wherein we interviewed this guy from the anti-vaccine uh, viewpoint, let's say,
Yeah.
um, to not be too ad hominem about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he made a number of claims and provided us his sources. And I went and meticulously looked over each and every source that he provided
Mm-hmm.
and created a rebuttal video to go with it. And we released those two videos back to back the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And for a number of years, like I would have to kind of fight a little bit with YouTube here and there, and they'd be like, "Oh, we think this should maybe come down." I'd be like, no, here's why I think it shouldn't," and they'd be like, "Okay." And then one day they were just like, "Nope, we're taking it down." So for a couple of years now, it's been just gone, a hole in our catalog. And then
Didn't we? Did you upload it to Rumble? I
it's
think.
on Rumble.
Okay. Yeah.
It's also on our Patreon.
Okay. Yeah.
But now it's back on YouTube,
Huh.
uh,
Okay.
with time-stamped corrections, linking to our fact-checking wiki with all the evidence
Mm-hmm.
links, source links, and everything. Like and our proprietary blend of source vetting. It's kind of like our own internal ground news, if you want to
Yeah.
look at it that way,
Yeah.
where we basically say like, look, here's the source, here's how much salt you should take it with,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. That's
Anyway,
good.
so yeah, so I re-uploaded those just a couple days ago,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, sure enough, like I did a pretty decent job of fact checking them, and it's kind of nice to be able to see like the first part of the episode, misleading, false, dangerous, like,
Mm-hmm.
and then on mine it was like, supported, mostly supported with nuance, and it would actually kind of explain, oh, maybe I oversimplified things, and so I,
Mm-hmm.
in the upload, I made little notes to that,
Mm-hmm.
and so far so good. In fact, one even said it could be monetized, but I'm still not even going down that hole, just because like the type of advertising that would pay to be on a video like that tends to be like Epoch Times or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, but hey, if they're willing to pay,
Mm,
uh, I
yeah,
like
but
I.
stuff like that, I don't really want like poisoning people's minds. If the goal is to like get them thinking more critically,
Yeah. Yeah.
it kind of sucks to have like all these tinfoil hatters like
Mm-hmm.
clogging up the
It'd be some like
ad
flat
space.
Earth organization that would
Yeah.
that would give us money.
But I really like I really love that idea of incorporating that into our show,
Mm-hmm.
and even going back and maybe touching on some of the bigger ones from time to time and being like, all right, okay, we've been barking up the wrong tree, or we need to like shift a little bit or rephrase things. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like actually most of the time were pretty solid though,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah, that's a
But
good, it's promising.
yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah, like there's a few things we get wrong, and I think the one was like 2 episodes ago. Do you think I should share the screen to show this or?
Oh, you could just say it, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was yeah, 2 episodes ago when we were talking about like um Sealand came up and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Uh we had discussed how kind of silly it is that you can't just declare yourself a nation unless other nations recognize you
Mhm.
as a standalone nation.
Yeah.
And the fact checking said that that was um, they rated that as mixed
Okay.
uh, because while that is one particularly strong criteria, let's say it's not
Yeah.
the strongest. Um, in fact, I'll read the little blurb here from justia.com.
Mhm.
International law contains two theories of recognition. The uh, constitutive theory of recognition holds that a state does not exist until it receives recognition. That's the one that we kind of knew of.
Yeah.
By contrast, the declaratory theory of recognition holds that a state exists without recognition, which is merely an acknowledgement of an existing situation. The declaratory theory has become the prevailing view.
Hmm.
Uh, that said, an entity likely has a stronger claim to statehood when it has received recognition from many other states, but not each and every, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. That, and
Um,
that's, of
yeah,
course, that's never going to happen because,
yeah. So, so that is interesting because like that's a little more hopeful,
hmm,
actually, in a lot of the stuff we talk about. Wherein, you know, we're like, like kind of one of two things really has to happen. Either there has to be some dissolution of the existing government and supplantation with another one,
hmm,
or a secession,
yeah.
which would involve like forming a new nation of its own, but basically,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's not exactly as hard as it originally seemed. So
True. Yeah. That's, hmm. Well, and I think like before the show, I brought up that scale is kind of important for that to really work.
yes,
Where if you have a little place with like 100 people, it you don't have a whole lot of chance of being like a country. Whereas
right.
if you have a space with millions of people in it, and you're like, "Yep, we're a new country," then I mean, yeah, that's a it's pretty solid that that is a new country. If everybody's like on the same page and
But
saying, "Yeah, well, we want to be separate, we want to be our own thing,"
you know,
it's hard
you
to argue with that.
yeah. Um, this may be a little bit out of the scope of the Montevideo Convention or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it could be possible. I mean, if you can go to war with terrorism, war
Mm-hmm.
with an ideology,
Yeah,
couldn't an ideology become a nation of its own that has no borders?
that's
Couldn't
that's
couldn't anarchists across the world just declare themselves an anarchist nation, a nomadic state
no,
of nationality, Like,
that I mean that is sort of leaning a little bit into the sovereign citizen thing, but I think the difference would be if because the sovereign citizens are just dumbasses and they just kind of are like, well, technically I'm traveling or whatever, and it's like, look, bro, you you're in Rome. You have to follow the Roman rules. Like you're living in a space. You have to like it's it's sort of like if somebody you go to somebody's house and they're like, "Oh, we have a no shoes rule," and you just walk in there with your heavy ass boots that are all dirty and just like, screw that. I don't have to follow your rules. Like, no, you're in somebody's house.
right.
So it's a matter of courtesy, especially if you want to be recognized and respected. You need to, like, as much as possible, follow the rules of wherever you are. even though you may not necessarily agree with them. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
It's like you're in that space. I like I,
That's
so.
yeah, like people like that. Um, I I feel like like I don't know any other word for it than like immaturity,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
I mean I don't even want to call it childish,
I'd almost
but
say it's like
it's
disrespectful.
yeah, but I mean like it's all about like this idea of like freedom, I do what I want sort of thing, and it's like yeah, there's nuance to the word freedom, right? Like that's more
Yeah.
of an aesthetic freedom, you know?
Well, and like,
It's not so much of a fundamental freedom to like just do whatever you want,
well,
like
yeah, and I kind of understand where like the sovereign citizen people are coming from, in that they're basically attempting to push back to kind of
Mhm.
force the system to do its thing, to maybe hopefully unwind something. It's kind of my guess. I really I don't know any sovereign citizens, so I don't can't get into their heads and
Mm.
listen to the meetings or anything. But I kind of feel like that's a little bit of what they're doing. It's sort of just kind of like a being rebellious sort of thing.
Yeah. Sovereign
And
citizens don't go to meetings because they don't want to.
yeah, yeah, and I get it. I understand that, and there's actually a place for that. There's a place for rebellion and for
Mhm.
standing your ground and fighting for what you believe in. But it isn't when you're just driving across a state. Like look, just pick your battles. That's really
Right.
what it comes down to. And I think really, like you're saying, the whole ideology being its own kind of nationality, like I would almost say it's like a global nationality.
Yeah.
And in that you could say, well, we're distributed and nomadic, and we don't really have a home except for Earth, and we're united in for one common cause. And I think there's strength in that. And in that, oh boy, that would certainly throw a monkey wrench in the system, wouldn't it? If like
Yeah.
they're like, wait a minute, there's like millions of people across the planet, tens of millions or whatever, who are kind of like, yeah, fuck it. We're
Mm.
yeah, we'll play by the rules, but we, only through protest. Um,
Right. Well, if people like that did band together for an ideological nationality of sorts
mhm.
and and use, for instance, some of the ideas that we discuss on the show as kind of a platform for constructing essentially a constitution
Mhm.
which effectively just governs behavior, like individual behavior, uh, which the individual themselves are expected to hold themselves accountable for.
Yeah.
Um, like basically not to fuck with other people,
Mhm.
but also to recognize like responsibility exists no matter what. Like
Well, yeah.
you
I mean,
there is no freedom from responsibility.
yep. And
No matter how much of an anarchist you want to be, like you have to play nice with those that you interact with. And
absolutely. Well, and you can't go it alone. I mean, I suppose you could, but it would be a huge struggle. And why have to struggle when you could work together with people voluntarily? Like a voluntarist system is quite functional. I mean, that's kind of how humans just operate most of the time. It's like, oh, well, I know that I got to help this person because eventually they're going to be helping me, that kind of thing.
mm,
And it's like it's better for everything working smoothly if everybody kind of pitches in and helps out and that kind of thing. That like
yeah,
if we're all defiant all the time, it's going to be a shitty life. Like how
but
do you coordinate things, you know?
I feel like, something like that um would actually be a very probable avenue toward the goal, let's say, of
Mhm.
making everyone happy, because uh that that's like kind of one of those binary situations where you either have people that are like okay with governance or not,
Mhm.
and that alone is enough to kind of split things.
Yeah.
Um, but if there was like a parallel system in place that was globally recognized as like these people just kind of do their own thing, and they aren't, you know, they aren't opting in to uh, draw off of certain public benefits,
Mhm.
and they're fine with that.
Yeah.
And in exchange, we just don't like
Just
sap any public funds from them,
yeah, we leave
and
them alone. Well,
the rest of us just do our thing the
mhm.
way we want to. And like I think that would actually create a system, because then it's a lot easier for the people who are okay with some system of governance to start agreeing on things, because they don't have these other voices like kind of so loud in their ears about like the fucking government and blah 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 blah, and taking our freedoms and stuff. And it's like there are good points in there, and a lot of
Mhm.
those things can be reflected onto other philosophies, and it kind of muddies the signal, I think.
I
Like it,
agree. Yeah, I agree. Well,
if I'm making sense there, like
two things. One, the Amish are a good example of that, like all that functioning pretty okay, like parallel worlds essentially,
yeah,
coexisting. Um, and also, I think it it's the kind of thing, when your parents tell you to do something and you don't do it because they're telling you to do it, but it's a
mhm,
thing that like they're like clean your room and you're like swivel on it.
yeah,
But then you sit in your room and I'm like, it's gross in here, and you clean it because you're like, okay, I gotta clean it. But you do it because you want to do it, not because someone's telling you to do it. And I think if governance involved asking, pleading for help with things, people would be way more willing to. They'd give even more. But it's like when they're extorting you, when they're telling you you have to give this, it feels like the parents telling you to clean your room,
yeah.
and people are defiant in that regard. Um,
I mean, in principle, that sounds good. But we've seen that in practice during the COVID shutdowns.
mhm,
They were asking people to wear masks. They were asking people to stay at home. They
mhm.
weren't, at least not in the beginning, or at least not in every jurisdiction, that there weren't legal mandates, and even mandates aren't technically laws either. Like it was asking, and still there was pushback, and I'll do what I want, and my
Well,
freedoms and stuff.
yeah.
Like it
It,
still happened that way, as
well,
if it were forced, but it wasn't,
I think it comes down to maybe just the structure of the government. So when the government says something, there's an inherent property to that versus if it's like, because early on, I know they were like voluntarily doing everything because they're like, oh, pandemic,
Yeah.
what do we do? And they were
Hmm.
listening to doctors, and doctors were, and of course it was confusing because there were mixed messages and stuff. Um, I think one of the things that really, like, when there started to be mandates, that's where there was more pushback, especially in the light of some government officials ignoring their own mandate, which was hypocrisy. And of course, me,
Yeah.
hypocrisy is like a sin, the greatest sin, probably. But people saw that and they're like, well, if they're not doing it, why should I do it? And, you see where there's a problem there. And I don't know. I feel like there's a way we can have a voluntaristic system that is science and engineering based and logic based and uh,
Hmm.
based in being a good human. a humanitarian, benefiting your fellow people. Um, because that's people just want to do that. I mean, you see an old lady trying to struggle across the road, and people just come and help. That I've seen videos like, man, there's these videos, compilations of like humans being bros, basically. Like there's a dog that's stuck in a canal, and like 20 people come together and they form a human chain and they climb down and pull the dog out. Like they didn't have to do that, but they did
Yeah.
it. And well, I can only imagine how it felt when that dog finally got out of there. It's like, man, that's the greatest feeling, helping people or your fellow creatures on this planet. Um,
Yeah.
and
There was speaking of COVID, like during one of the shutdowns, um, I went for a jog because it was still okay to like be outside alone as long as you weren't near people.
yeah,
And I jogged over by the lake near my place, and I saw this lady out on the dock, and she was like looking down into the water, and I saw something splashing, and I was like, "Oh, is somebody drowning or something?" And I ran out there, and her dog was in the water, and like a
oh,
big, like 80-pound dog,
geez,
um, like a lab or something. I can't remember exactly the breed. Um, and she's just standing there like holding it by the collar to keep it
mm,
from like going under, but
yeah,
she wasn't strong enough to lift it. So I got down and helped the dog up, and
mm,
um, just yeah, that just reminded me of
mm-hmm.
that scenario, and like yeah, it takes like 2 minutes
Yeah.
to do stuff like that, and yeah, no
Well, and
sweat
if
off your
everybody
back.
did a few things, I mean, that's really should be kind of like part of the creed of this system.
Yeah,
A major thing. It's like all you don't have to do everything. You don't have to do a lot. Just do a little, like a few things. When you can help. It just that's all you got to do. You don't have to solve every problem. Um, just solve a few. Help somebody out when you can. I mean, because that's what I do. I donate to charities and stuff all the time, and um, you know, help people that need help.
yeah.
I mean, my friend, I just changed the oil on two of his cars in one day last weekend. Like, I didn't have to do that, but I did it.
Well, since we're kind of talking about global anarchism, we had an episode on that back in season 7, episode 6, actually kind of like a year ago to the
Oh,
day almost.
wow.
Um, because this is season 8, episode
Hey,
7, I think.
yeah.
Um, yeah, there was some stuff that got fact checked in that one too, that we actually bring up often. The claim was that the people legally retain power to dissolve the U.S. federal government. It's philosophically rooted in popular sovereignty, but not
Mm,
a straightforward claim under current constitutional procedure. Um, so I guess by that it means that like in those founding documents, it was definitely like, hey, this would be a good idea, but they never actually like
implemented
ratified
it.
anything, I
Yeah, yeah.
guess. So, and
Yeah,
I
if you
mean,
read some
that's
of
a
the
problem, of course, for, like doing things in a peaceful manner.
it is,
But
and for sure, because like now, essentially, you you need support from a bunch of states to change, like the politicians, the government,
yeah,
um, which is like, okay, well, I mean, isn't that kind of going against the core principles in the very beginning?
right.
Um, and of course, the system has molded and manipulated things to make it so it's that way. So if people are like, "Hey, we've had enough," well, now all of a sudden you're a criminal,
Yeah.
essentially. Like you can't just voluntarily and peacefully switch things. Um, and I mean, yeah, you can through voting, but the problem is the whole political system is also manipulated
Yeah.
to be in favor of itself. So
Hmm.
you're not going to have enough political force to make those changes ever.
Right.
There's just no way that's going to happen, even if
Like,
people want it. And like your shirt, it's like
yeah.
everybody agrees. It doesn't matter your political persuasion. Everybody agrees the system is broken.
Yeah.
There are problems. Like, okay, well, what? So we're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, this back and forth bullshit, and
Yeah.
expect there to be improvements? No, what I see over time is it gets worse. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't get better. Um, so why keep doing the same stuff? And I guess maybe that's like a core
Hmm.
philosophical principle of our discussions.
Well, and the other strength in our show that I've seen in recent years is that we're doing it from across the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm living in a complete different governmental jurisdiction than you
Mm-hmm.
are.
Yeah,
And I mean, there's a lot of similarities, of course, but there's
yeah,
also a hell of a lot of differences. And the awesome thing about that is that we're kind of in our discussions, like we're just like one person shy of having kind of a way to triangulate
mm-hmm.
uh, a vector toward something that works.
So we
You know
need
what I'm
somebody
getting at?
from
Like if there were somebody living in a country where
like
things were
China.
like, yeah, a little more on the oppressive side,
Mm-hmm.
but is also still functioning, like China is actually not like a total flop.
No,
Uh,
no, no.
kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
It would actually give us a really grand perspective on like, okay, here's how this thing is done in America, here's how it's done in Germany, and here's how
Mm-hmm.
it's done in China. Is it
Yeah.
better or worse than the others, and for what reasons?
Yeah.
And those kind of ideas might be it might be easier to comparatively see, are they heading in the right direction or are they
Mm-hmm.
heading in the wrong direction? And if so, why and what things are contributing to that? And,
Mm-hmm.
like start tying all those things together.
Yeah.
Those kinds of that, like that's that scientific method in
Mm-hmm.
action. That's the engineering principle with the triangulation. It's that's the type of think tank we need to be creating.
That's
Um,
actually a good way to put it. Create
yeah,
a think tank, really. And I'd like to see people from somebody from Russia have a conversation about that.
yeah,
To that would also kind of fulfill that thing, but literally anywhere,
yeah.
honestly. And we also have the North and South too. So it's like maybe people from Australia, from South America somewhere. Um,
Mhm.
and it's kind of this thought popped into my head. If you went anywhere in the world to a Star Trek convention, even if you don't know the language, you'll be able to geek out perfectly fine. Like
Right.
everybody's geeking out the same way. Like
Hmm.
it, and so that's kind of maybe sort of what it's like. We need something like that, like a common purpose, a common philosophy that people can take all the stuff from their own places and kind of stir that into the pot, like stone soup, I guess. Something like that.
Yeah.
And with the goal, like basically the goal is solve problems,
Yeah.
like build something that works. That's all. That really should be the only directive.
Yeah.
Um, and like you said, everybody being happy, pleasing everybody as much as possible. Obviously, there's going to be some things where people are begrudgingly, okay, fine, I'll do that, but like without oppression,
Right.
and without it being necessary to use force to
I mean,
get people to do things.
if the idea I brought up earlier about kind of an ideological nationality,
Mm-hmm.
something that is borderless, but
Yeah.
gives you an opportunity that is globally recognized as being valid to opt out of whatever system you're geographically confined to
Yeah.
by basically like, you know, swearing an oath that you're just going to mind your own business and you don't ask for anything in return, and you're not going to bother anybody, and
Mm-hmm.
like, and just let it be, like
Yeah.
I would not have a problem with that. It would be no skin off my ass, like
Mm-hmm.
if there's a person that's already like, out of principle,
Mm-hmm.
not going to the doctor and, like not doing this and that and like just walks everywhere instead of like tearing up the roads with their car or something, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to pay tax, like, well, they're not drawing any tax money either. It's kind of
That's
like
true.
a net zero at that point. So it's like
Yeah.
I really don't see a problem with that for anyone that actually wants to walk the walk
Mm-hmm.
and talk the talk. Like, go,
Sure.
go fuck off into the mountain if you want to. I don't care,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
see
That's
no
kind of
problem with that.
how
But
I feel too. And if people want to have some kind of structure, then you can follow like HOA style principles where you voluntarily participate in a structure like that. Uh,
mhm,
and it's a
yeah,
closed community of sorts, I guess, where everything comes from the community and goes back into the community, and they manage that themselves, and that's perfectly fine too.
yeah.
It's like
And
it's almost like the Amish again. They're not hurting anybody. People love the Amish, and
here's the other beautiful part of that
mm-hmm.
is that that solves a lot of immigration problems, because all you have to do is just, if you want to immigrate or emigrate, I guess, to another country,
Mm-hmm.
you just declare yourself for that moment in the anarchist nation,
Yeah.
and then you're not bothering anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, of course you have to like adjust the way you do things within the government too in order to
Sure.
like interact with those people.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
because
oh, they don't pay sales tax. They can work, but you know, you don't set aside any tax for them, and they don't pay any tax, and blah blah
yeah,
blah. Like, they
and
don't need a
it's
social security
so
number. It's
so if
okay. Like,
basically
yeah,
if you want to use the roads, then you have to pay the fees for road use. But if you walk, obviously you don't pay the fees for road use,
yeah.
that kind of thing.
You want to go buy a car,
Mhm.
you show whatever ID that claims your nationality or whatever, and if
Yeah.
it's an anarchist ID or whatever, like
I should
whatever.
make that. That should totally. Oh man. Well, so there was at one point in time, like in when I was younger, I was deep into like the hacker and cracker community, the BBS days, back when you not dial up internet, but you would dial to somebody else's computer, or series of computers. Sometimes people had some pretty elaborate setups, but oftentimes it was just somebody. They like, hey, I want to run a BBS, and so they started it up, um, and it was like a stateless, borderless, faceless, raceless community where, I mean, as long as you could speak a common language, you people would communicate, and it was like it was beautiful. It was like it didn't matter who you were, nobody cared. It's like, oh, you got the wares, that's all that mattered, or card numbers or whatever. There's all kinds of different things, but it.
And if they were dropping acid, it was baseless, and if they were wearing leather, it was laceless. Um,
Yeah. Oh man, see, that could be a song actually. But like in that was a completely organic system that just existed. Nobody built it. It was like the people built it themselves, and it just worked.
Yeah.
Like they built uh, early email in the form of FidoNet. There were all kinds of different things where like people just kind of crafted this whole thing themselves, and it was global. Well, if you were if you had the money or you had the means to circumvent the need for money, we'll just say you could call internationally and connect to BBSs across the world, and I mean they had whole networks of stuff. Um, and I mean it was the weirdest thing too because you talk to people on BBSs, and we would there were like local Tacoma BBS parties. Essentially, we'd go to like Godfather's Pizza and meet up. And it was the craziest thing because like you get a picture in your head of somebody because you just their
Mhm.
handle. Most people didn't actually use their real name. Um, so it's like their handle, their method of speaking, like their interests and stuff. And then like actually meeting somebody for the first time, it was surreal. It's
Yeah.
like, what? Because I was young at the time, so I was always thinking like, oh, all these people are like kids, like me, teenagers and shit. And then you go to these meetup parties, and it's like, whoa, there's people in their 60s here.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
like this one guy who ran a Christian BBS. Um, he's actually a really cool guy, but like I always pictured him, straight laced, suit and tie, kind of clean cut and stuff. No, no,
Mhm.
dude shows up. He's wearing a leather jacket. He has like a handlebar mustache and is all like ripped with tattoos and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't expect that. It's kind of
Yeah,
like
there was a magic to that. I do
mm-hmm,
remember a little bit of those days, like later on when it was actually in the internet.
mm-hmm.
Also, bulletin boards and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
There was one for Metal Edge magazine,
Oh yeah.
and Shane and I, we had a couple of friends we're even still in touch with,
Hmm.
um, from that. And I remember like one time one of them flew to Seattle and was like, "Hey, a couple of you guys here on the bulletin board are in Seattle, right? It would be cool to meet up in person." It was like totally weird, like all of a
Mm.
sudden having a face to it. And
Yeah.
and of course, kids today are just like, "Well, didn't you just see their Insta?"
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like that you don't have that kind of magic happen anymore. Like,
No, sadly. I
and
it
even with MySpace, you could just have like whatever name you wanted, but
mhm.
then InQtel, I
And
mean, Facebook came around and
yeah.
kind
Can
of
tell you.
kind of did away with that. So,
I know. Well, yeah, and even MySpace people sometimes didn't even have their own like pictures of themselves there too. So,
but that does bring up a good point. Like, how would you prove that you're not part of a government?
hmm.
Like without requiring someone to issue an ID that is verifiably, definitely tied to you.
Hmm.
Like, how do you do that without an institution in charge of that?
Well, and yeah, and that is where even within the anarchist world, you do need some kind of structure,
Hmm.
some form of organization, agreed upon rules of some sort. Because, like, yeah, how do you know it's the real person or whatever? Like, if someone, even in just common everyday stuff, like buying something at a store, like, how do you know that's like you, like your actual account that is being used?
My my thought on it would be it would be something akin to unions and
Mm-hmm.
employers.
Mm-hmm.
Like there would be representatives for the anarchists that would meet with the governments and agree upon what should be included and what
Mm-hmm.
should not be included to
Yeah.
preserve as much privacy as possible, to reduce
Yep.
tracking and blah blah blah, but also have something that's definitely verifiable, like
Mhm.
somehow keep it from being something you could fake just to get away with not paying tax, but actually still draw from government benefits, because
Mhm.
that's also a, a clear problem that you would want to be able to
Y-
prevent, right? And
Absolutely, yeah.
um like, but yeah, it could just be a constant negotiation back and forth
Mhm.
that is just handled by a select number of people that volunteer for such a thing. And
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, like I don't see any reason that couldn't work.
Well, especially because when you have a goal that is let's make something that works right,
Hmm.
then it becomes very easy to arrive at a good destination. It's like the IEC. There's a couple other organizations that craft sort of standards, industry standards for various things like connectors and plugs and stuff. And I mean, people don't follow it because they have to. They follow those things because, oh, okay, well, I want to sell my product. Um, and, I don't want to have some weird bespoke thing that only works with my thing, and I sell it to somebody and then they're pissed off and nobody buys it again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, USB cables. You go to the store and you buy a USB charge cable, like a USB-C or whatever. Like you just expect that you plug it in and connect it and it charges. Or it's a data, you connect with data or whatever you do. Um, and if it didn't, you'd be like, what gives? And so that's why having standards is important. And these people are basically industry professionals. They get together and they have powwows from time to
Yeah.
time, and they kind of change things. They present new ideas and they that kind of thing. And so it's like stuff changes over time as the evolution of technology continues. And so they're trying to kind of rein things in so it doesn't get too wackadoodle.
Hmm.
And you could easily expand that to almost anything.
Yeah.
Like every single aspect of life could be managed that way. And it wouldn't be oppressive. There'd be like, why? It's just like you get together and you create a standard and that's it. And so because the goal is just creating a good standard that works, and
Yeah.
maybe deprecating old ones and saying, okay, well, we're not really going to address that one anymore because that's like scuzzy cables or something that you don't see them really talking about that anymore. Or even parallel. No, I guess parallel still,
Hmm.
all that stuff is still
I've
used, but it
I've
isn't
got
like a,
I've got one of my monitors right now is parallel.
oh yeah,
Um, it's still around.
yeah.
Um,
But
yeah,
that's how you would do things.
there's kind of an irony that, like, if there were a government for anarchists,
Mm-hmm.
it would actually be fairly complex. But
Mm-hmm.
the difference is that the government wouldn't be made up of people punching clocks. It would be made up of people volunteering to fill those roles for
Yep.
whatever need arises when it arises, and not
Yeah.
making a career out of it. And
No, and you could still get paid for stuff.
yeah,
Here's the thing, too, I guess. A system like this, even though, like you're saying, it would be kind of complex, it'd be more efficient. And as such, people would have a lot more disposable income, way more, because like there's so much waste within this behemoth that exists, of the current form of government, that like, you the money they extract from you goes into this black box machine, and you hear like a bunch of gears and churning and bubbling, and now at the end comes a nickel, and you're like, well, that's the amount of work that's done for that. Like,
yeah,
where did the rest of that go? Where's the other 95 cents for that dollar that was taken? Like,
yeah,
and they're like, well, I don't know, it's just sustaining the machine. And you're like, yeah, but what if you just directly spent that dollar directly on a thing? You get almost 100% efficiency.
yeah,
Basically people seeing a need and filling a need, like solving a problem, essentially. directly. They bypass that entire system because it's inefficient and, well, it's corrupt too. Well, we know that. Um, and like your shirt says, it's broken.
Yep. Yeah, and we definitely need to come up with some fixes. And
Mm-hmm.
like that, I really hope that we can connect somehow with a lot of people that
Yeah.
are equally passionate about doing something like this,
Mm-hmm.
enough to like be willing to also put in some of the work that goes into it.
Yeah.
Like my head is spinning right now with like trying to organize all this stuff like kind of on my own. Like this
even
Piddly
even with the
Wiki
help
is,
of AI, it's still
yeah, even with the help of AI, it actually feels slower. Um, if it weren't for all the coding,
oh
um,
yeah.
it's yeah, fucking debugging, man. Jeez. Um,
Oh, you should have been there in the days of assembly language and Pascal and stuff like that. Oh boy.
but
Yeah.
like I really hope that something like this could actually grow into something a little bit more official, like
It,
maybe incorporating as a nonprofit organization at some
yeah.
point.
Yeah,
And
no, that's actually a really good idea, to have some
um,
kind of hub.
even though that creates even more work,
Yeah.
because then it's, you know, a lot of the work is
And,
just in sustaining itself
and
and
there'd be a
blah, blah,
bit of irony in like an anarchistic organization appealing to the government for a tax exempt status.
blah. Well, I wouldn't frame it as an anarchist
No, no,
organization.
no. Well,
It would be more of a kind of a research foundation, really, if
yeah,
you think
yeah.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it would be about framing sociological and political uh, ideology in practical, testable
Mm-hmm.
hypotheses, and you know, designing experiments for such, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, stuff like that is hyper complex. Like
Oh,
you need people who are
you,
experts in things
you,
like sociology and political science and stuff
many
to
different fields. Yeah.
yeah, to kind of help you frame a a sound
It,
experiment that
it,
could actually take place, and an ethical review board and everything. Like,
sure. Well, and it would need to be open source.
yeah,
Like that should really be kind of another core tenet of this thing. Is like open source. Everything's open source. Like we don't
right.
own any of this. We're not the overlord. We're just participating in this project.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I would just have some kind of open forum for anybody
mhm,
to, like, without any obligation, no signing up for newsletters and blah blah
mhm.
blah. Just like come bring ideas, bring grievances, whatever.
Yeah.
Just ask that you like try to have some kind of like, you know, evidence,
Hmm.
or if you're not like making some kind of claim about something, like, I don't know, frame it in a way that it's constructive, I guess is the best way to put it.
Exactly. And I think being nice also is a good rule to have. Just be nice
Yeah.
to each other, right? Like,
I I had a boss years ago that had this saying he liked: don't bring a or don't drop a dead bird on my doorstep. Like,
mhm,
he basically meant like, you can come to me with a problem, but I also want to hear your idea for how to solve it at
yeah.
the same time. Don't
Mhm.
just drop the dead bird and leave. Yeah, like,
Okay. Yeah,
and that always kind of stuck with me. Like, yeah, that's actually good advice. Like,
yeah, it is.
like, it's okay to complain as long as you have an idea about what should be done. So
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that would go a long way to making things
the
better and solving problems. It's like,
yeah, the No
okay,
Dead Birds Forum.
yeah, birds for nice. Yeah, well, and I think back, just thinking back to the BBS days, and how everything just evolved totally organically. There
Mm,
wasn't like an oversight committee that was like the federal government or some international government, just doing no. People wrote and modified BBS software, protocols for communications. I remember back in the day when you tried to download something, even just a little bit of line noise would cause errors and it would fail. Like that's like the X modem days, and then they came out with Y modem that was somewhat error correcting, and then came Z modem protocol, and it was so good that you could pick up a phone while you're on the phone. You could pick up a phone and scream into it, hang it up, and your download would stop for a second and then just pick back up again.
huh,
Like that was just crafted by the community. It
huh.
basically, I think if you just leave people to their like unleash people and let them dream and craft and build, that the best things will emerge.
So there's
That's
X, Y, and Z, but how do you spell?
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. That's right.
That's a little longer than just X, Y, or Z,
Yeah,
right?
the connect sound. Yeah, yeah. And even that changed over time, but it's
Hmm.
like, and companies came in, they were building modems that got better and better and better. Generally, Hayes was like the top dog if you wanted a good modem, um, back in the day, at least. Um, but like, yeah, U.S. Robotics too. They had a pretty good modem setup. Anyway, I'm waxing uh, uh, the past, a little nostalgic, I guess. Um, but in that, it's like the whole thing just happened on its own because people wanted to participate in that. And like it was this kind of synergy between creators and programmers and dreamers and companies and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. And it just, and it's like, man, it was the internet before the internet, because like it was so crazy dialing up to like another country, like dialing into say Israel to some BBS in some dude's basement, and like chatting with people and stuff. And it's like you find that yes, there are differences between people, but we're a lot more similar than we are different, I guess.
Yeah.
um
But going back to like whatever organization format it would be, I do think it's important for uh legitimacy purposes
mhm.
to be as apolitical as possible. Like, in
Yeah,
fact, I would even want to strive for building a system that almost has safeguards against political parties even becoming a thing.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Um,
Yeah.
and you know, while anarchy is basically like the atheism of politics, like
Pretty
that would
much.
always kind of be
Mhm.
a null hypothesis in the mix. Like
Mhm.
it does carry some kind of connotation with
Yeah.
it for a lot of people, some better than others.
Mhm.
And that even that, like I would frame it in a different way.
Sure,
Um,
sure. Well, I mean, words matter.
yeah.
And I wouldn't, because people often think of anarchy as like this anti-government kind of thing, or chaos, when
Mhm.
that really isn't what it is. But what's in a name? I guess, having a different way of defining things would
It,
be helpful, because yeah, you're like a non-political kind of structure is absolutely needed, and basically minimize tribalism if possible,
yep.
because that it does emerge. You get these islands of ideologies that form, and like that's problematic, because then now they're at odds with each other, and nothing gets done even though you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's a waste of resources and time.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it, what it boils down to is it's impossible for two dudes on the internet to do it alone.
True.
And even with AI,
Yeah.
um, maybe especially with AI.
It's like dollar Chinese almost, that I heard there. Yeah.
So yeah, I would like to. I mean, I sent an email out to somebody yesterday who has kind of a similar sort of web presence,
Mm.
um, Revolution Kitty or something, Resistance Kitty. I can't remember the name exactly. There's like a
Huh.
YouTube page and like some wikis and tracking the Epstein files and stuff. But it
Mm.
is like very much more like politically minded,
Yeah.
left leaning and stuff like that. But that's okay. Like it's still of the mindset that the system is broken. And that's all
Yeah.
that really matters for a movement like this is to have people that recognize and understand that and see that there needs to be a change. And, the question then becomes like, how do we enact that change? And like they may have a lot of great ideas, but the methodology kind of all like is balanced on this one post of like bringing it about with violent revolution or something. And it's like, wait a minute, let's bring those ideas down from that post
Yeah.
and and sort them out and
Hmm.
compare them and analyze them and maybe see what we can test. And like when when you just poo-poo those ideas
Mm.
for the sake of like, oh, it's a left-leaning ideology and they're all about this revolution and
Mm.
stuff, like they can't have any good ideas. Well, you've just committed a logical fallacy there.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and so it's super important that we try to wipe all that political ideology,
Hmm.
tribalism out of our brains. It's brainwashing.
Yeah.
It's really all it is.
Well, we basically need kind of like a political ego death,
Hmm.
like that has to come about. And I don't know exactly how to achieve that. Obviously, like you're saying, we're just a couple of dudes on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, like lead by example, I guess. Like the
Hmm.
more we try to hold ourselves accountable to doing that,
Yep. Yeah.
um, the more credibility we'll have in asking others to try doing the same.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I maybe the framing should be more of a humanitarian angle, that
yeah,
like solving problems together and making things better together,
yeah,
like without the government. Because I think we can have a perfectly awesome life on planet Earth if there was no government. Like it would be actually more awesome, because think about how many people have been killed by government.
right.
Like a lot of people.
Well, one of our more recent fans of the show, Jabroni,
Mm-hmm.
left a comment recently, maybe on the last episode where he was saying, oh, actually glad I didn't watch this live because a lot of the things Casey was saying would have made my blood boil and like he's so left leaning and stuff and you know and then he was all concerned that I'd be angry about that or something and it's like bro no like for one thing I don't ascribe to the left, at
Yeah.
least from my, you know, personal standpoint, um, because I feel like it's a lot more three-dimensional than
It
just like,
is. Well, that's where like the two-dimensional political compass test is stupid.
yeah,
Like
no
it
matter how many
is.
quadrants they draw in there, like
Yeah. Well, and
it's
that's the thing. It's like, I mean, I definitely, I guess if there was some kind of grid, I would certainly place you more to the left than myself. Um, but again, like, yeah,
yeah,
people would look at me and they'd be like, well, you're probably right leaning. And it's like, well, kinda, but also kind of not on certain things. Um,
right.
and I don't care about people on the right. Like, I'm not, you know, oh, like, oh, yay, Republicans or something. Like, fuck them. I don't care. you
Uh,
know?
yeah, a lot of, like disconnecting from social media helped reduce a lot of the noise.
Mm,
Because yeah, like there's a lot of policy that comes out of uh Republicans that I really have problems with, but I do understand that that is a government thing and not a political ideology thing that
yeah.
is in any way the responsibility of people who call themselves Republicans and vote as such, like that's not their fault, like the people
Well,
are not the government.
exactly. Well, and it's like there are people on any side that have their own desires and wants and needs and things, and like that's another thing that has to be considered. Like, okay, well, why would they want that? Oh, because that fits in line with whatever they believe or something.
Mhm.
And in that, it's logical. There's like a pathway back to the origin of these things. Even maybe, well, I would say a lot, almost on all sides, most of them are misguided, um, but probably well intentioned. Um, but I think there's a better way.
Yeah. I
And
mean, if you saw Democrats as Chinese food and Republicans as Mexican food, I'm sure everyone can think of at least a handful of restaurants where you can go and order Chinese food and Mexican food from the same menu.
mm,
It is possible
yes,
for things to coexist
mm-hmm.
in under one umbrella. And like,
Sure,
so why can't we just see things that way? Like,
yeah. If you don't like fajitas, don't order one.
yeah,
Like order the chow mein or something.
like government should be a little bit more a la carte. Like,
mm-hmm.
this is, this is the menu option I would like to live my life under,
Yeah. Well, and I
like
think if people,
pay into whatever fucking system you want to be held
mm,
accountable to. And yeah, like,
politics is uniquely dividing. Because if okay, going back to the Star Trek convention concept, if you went to a Star Trek convention, there's going to be left leaning people, right leaning people. There's going to be all kinds of people there, but everybody's having fun. Dressing up, going to the booths and doing stuff, having conversations about their favorite episodes and whatnot, their favorite movies, favorite characters. And like in that moment, everybody's getting along. I mean, sure, okay, some people might be like, oh, I don't like that series or this or that. And maybe there's the disagreement. But everybody's there because they like Star Trek.
yeah,
And like, why can't we have a system that operates that way where we're like, hey, okay, maybe we don't agree on some stuff, but we agree on most other things.
yeah.
And I don't like the idea of outsourcing problem solving to politicians, I guess. That I feel like that's sort of deferring responsibility. Um, and well, we get what we voted for in that. Um,
Yeah.
and but yet it's like there's this concept in my head that I can't really articulate, but basically that is the problem, that we're deferring to these other people who probably everybody knows. First off, the system is broken. Everybody knows that it's corrupt, that most politicians are not the good guys, yet they're all like, this is the only way. And if you choose a different way, well, you're bad too. Like,
Right.
okay, well,
And
why do we keep doing this?
well, and that's going back to my analogy of like putting everything on one post and,
Yeah.
like just saying that like, oh, we shouldn't be deferring to all these people to like get certain things done because it's corrupt is committing a logical fallacy. It's like, wait a minute, those things actually are best handled when delegated and like the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts and everything. There's actual like foundational objective
Mm-hmm.
facts to things being done in a certain way and having better outcomes in general, right?
Yeah.
But because of the way things have been structured that allowed them to become corrupted, that's what needs fixing,
Mm-hmm.
not the government itself, but like the problems that led up to the government becoming what it is
Mm-hmm.
instead of what it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
and
No,
that's
I see that.
that's that's
Makes sense.
that's the kind of thinking that I feel like we should be not only training ourselves to do, but like opening up other people's minds to start seeing things and through those lenses, like
Yeah.
okay, wait a minute, like I'm critical of this, but why? Like are there actually laudable things to be said about this?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, like is there a way to preserve those laudable
Mm-hmm.
things and get to that state with safeguards in place that prevent it from becoming, like the engineering thing. Like,
Yeah.
if a house is built in such a way that it's constantly soaking water up from the ground and rotting from the inside out, well, maybe we put a foundation under here or something that separates all the moisture from the wood. And oh,
Well, and from
okay,
an
yeah,
engineering
there you go.
standpoint,
Like,
from an engineering standpoint, you would look at that and be like, oh, well, why is that happening?
right.
And so the next house you build, you make changes
Hmm.
so it doesn't do that. And
Yep.
if it continues to do it, you're like, okay, well, there's some piece of information that we're missing here. Um, don't keep doing the same thing. Don't keep
Yeah.
building houses that are soaking up water because, like, well, your customers are going to be really furious with you.
Yeah.
Um, and it,
But no,
yeah,
we get sold on. I mean, that's just the way things are. But you buy this shiny new house,
mhm.
it doesn't have any rot in it, and it
Yeah,
probably won't for the next 5 years,
yeah,
maybe.
probably.
Um,
Yeah. Meanwhile, on Yelp, 1-star reviews. Um, th-
and
yeah, and
that's the crux, though, is like there's a lot of knee-jerk, um, programmed reactions that people just automatically have that kind of throw everything on the same bandwagon
Mhm.
and just set that bandwagon on fire and be like,
Well, and I think
it's all the problem. Like,
there's a tendency when you have this tribalistic system to kind of believe that the other guys have they're a hive mind, that they're all monolithic, that
mm,
like, oh, they all believe the same thing, and maybe on the surface they do because they're expected to, because like when
yeah,
you're part of the tribe you can't deviate from tribal rules, which, well, that's a huge problem in and of itself, um, because I'd like to see there be a lot more diversity of thought in those camps. Even though I don't think there should really be camps, but That's a huge problem. And people can, if you ask anybody, that people can pretty much agree on quite a few common problems that need to be solved. It's just the methodology that they're wanting to employ to solve those problems that people tend to disagree on. Some people want to do it this way, other people want to do it that way. Well, all right, well, let's put this in the crucible of science, shall we?
Yeah.
And okay, we'll try it your way. If it doesn't work, we'll throw that away and we're going to try it my way and see what happens. And then we're going to figure it out after the fact. Like, okay, well, is one better than the other? Is there even a third solution we haven't considered? And this is where having a lot of minds at work coming together, trying to analyze the problem and figure it out. It's like Reddit and 4chan have solved cold case crimes, decades old crimes, just a bunch of people on these forums digging into things, and they've been able to figure it out. And it's like when you get enough minds together, the solutions come.
Yeah. Even that methodology is maybe oversimplistic. Like, oh, this idea didn't work, scrap it, try the next person's idea. Well, why did it fail? You have to,
Yeah.
you can't just crumple it up and throw it all in the
Oh
garbage.
no, no, that wasn't. Yeah, of course.
You
You
have to look
analyze.
at what happened, readjust,
Mm-hmm.
experiment again. Like you will
Also,
fail. You will
it
fail often.
sure, and
And
it also requires something akin to ego death,
Mm,
where you have to look at it pragmatically, realistically, like
yeah,
analyze the facts, regardless of how much you want to be right about things. It's irrelevant. If you want to solve a problem, being right, like, it should never be the goal. Like, oh, I want my idea to work. Well, okay, but is what if it doesn't work? Are you
yeah,
going to hang on to that and keep trying over and over again?
yeah.
That's kind of a stupid way to do things. But so I don't know. There was a
Yeah, I mean
kind of a
it's
point
like
there, but
it's like with political philosophies and stuff that, you know, people point to like Marxism ideas, like they lump all his ideas as bad
mm,
because of, the handful of leaders in the past that have used that ideology as their framework, but,
mm,
like contorted it in a way that turned it into a dictatorship where it's like, I'm pretty sure Marx never said there should be one person at the top that is calling all the shots for this to work.
no,
Like
I don't believe so. Well,
pretty sure he didn't.
and
I
just
haven't
because,
actually read in like over 20 years anything from Marx, but like
mhm.
I
Well, and just
pretty sure,
because
yeah.
some ideas are bad doesn't mean they're all bad. Or
Mhm.
maybe there's some kind of fallacious
Right.
assumptions or something like that. Like there's probably some points in there that people could consider, even if like maybe he's completely wrong. However, maybe there's a bunch of stuff in there that we can look at and like, oh, actually, no, there's a good point. That's actually a really good point.
Mhm.
And not dismiss the whole thing. Um, it, yeah, that's definitely a tendency of people to do.
I kind of wish that we could be like employed by a university to teach philosophy,
Yeah.
but not philosophy that necessarily already exists, but kind of the goal of the class, like the term paper would
Hmm.
be to like propose your own philosophy where like find a problem in the world, think
Hmm.
of a solution and craft using the scientific method, craft what you think would be a path forward,
Hmm.
build out like your metrics for successes and failures,
Yeah.
um, and and establish your null hypothesis and
Hmm.
Think of the controls that would need to be uh,
Yeah.
carefully
Oh,
accounted for, and how could that be ethically accounted for when we're dealing with humans, like
yeah.
thinking about all these things, getting a lot of people to think about all these things. The only problem is you can't do shit with a degree in philosophy,
Nope. No, that's true. That is true. You're going to be
except
a
teach
barista
philosophy.
at Starbucks
Yeah.
after getting that degree, or
And I
like an
mean,
Amazon driver or something.
and I
But
mean,
no, I
at the
like.
risk of sounding like we're full of ourselves, that is what we are. We are philosophers,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah,
like that's what
and
we do here every week, like
so yeah, I like that idea. Oh man, being professors in a college or something, and instead of it being let's analyze the great philosophers of the past and talk about
right.
that. No, 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 no. Maybe we will, but this is generative philosophy. We're
Yes.
creating a new philosophy
Yeah.
from everything.
Hmm.
Because that is kind of what we do. Like
Yeah.
we just kind of wing it and
Like the
craft
freshman
ideas.
classes, they learn about Plato and
Yeah, yeah,
read Marx and all this
mm,
stuff, and
yeah.
then that's all the like the ground level stuff. And then we would be teaching the class where it's like, okay, you want to major in this? You want to actually design something that puts your philosophy into practical use in the real
Hmm.
world.
Yeah.
Welcome to designing your own research project. Like
Yeah.
this is graduate level stuff, like
Mhm. And that actually should happen more, I
yeah.
think, because all too often people are taught things and then their brains are programmed essentially. I mean, the human mind is plastic. It's capable of doing incredible things way beyond just being programmed, of being extremely creative. And I think that's what needs to happen as well. That we need like more creation, more exploration, questioning things and stuff like that, I guess.
Hmm. Now, if we could wing it to where I work at a university here in Germany and you work at a university there in Washington, and we could conduct the
And we
same
have,
class on two ends of the
yeah,
globe,
I
and
was going to say basically
mhm.
this show, but
Yeah.
in a classroom setting. Well, because I think it's important for people to challenge their thinking all the time and to ponder things, to question why, why are things this way? Why do I believe the way I do? Um, that kind of stuff. We need that. And of course, solving problems.
Yeah.
How do we solve this problem? Because, well, I mean, we know that, that, well, if you look at what government does, a good example would be like homelessness. All right. The budget for homeless spending in like Washington State, for instance, has skyrocketed, like exponential increases. Yet I look around and there's more homeless people. I'm like, what are y'all doing? What what's going on? Where's all that money going? I like clearly it's somebody has a bad idea and they're all playing that same game.
Another way to look at
Crime
it
and
is like maybe because of the state of the economy, it could actually be much worse if we weren't even spending that money,
well, you might
like
be correct. Yeah.
like that's another thing to always remind oneself of too, is like no matter how bad things are, they could be worse.
Yes.
And just because something is still bad, even though there's like measures in place to
Mm-hmm.
make it not so bad, doesn't mean it's not functioning.
Yeah.
It
Well, it's
just
kind of like
certainly could be better. Like,
it's kind of like if you have a small leak in a boat and your bilge pump is working and pumping out the water and it's managing the leak, but you still have a leak. Um,
yeah,
it could be a lot worse. You could have no bilge pump. It could not be working and the
right.
leak is still persisting. So, and that's something I think that's important for people to consider. But in my mind, I always think it could definitely be better.
Yeah.
There was certainly improvements that could be made to the way we're doing things to make it more efficient, more effective,
That's the
that
part
kind
we
of
all
thing.
agree on.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. And so because like a lot of things that I see, it's almost like it's a stopgap measure that
Hmm.
we're just hanging on, just kind of sliding by, just barely making it. When it's like, there's no reason. Look, I think about this all the time with our technological advancements, the way all the discoveries we have, all the like capabilities we have as a species on this planet, there's no reason for there to be suffering, hunger, like even wants that like we
Yeah.
can literally have almost we're like it's almost a post-scarcity society. Like the potential is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
That statement on this show has been fact checked and is
mhm.
mostly supported.
Yeah,
Like,
okay, all
like we
right,
are actually in a post-scarce society. It's just a lot of the scarcity is manufactured,
it is, yeah.
um, for, like kind of monopolizing the profit in that particular aspect.
I mean,
For,
it's also control as well. Like, I mean, here's the
yeah.
thing: the corporate world and the government world are little buddy buddies, and
Yeah.
they're screwing us from both ends essentially. And
Hmm.
we're like, oh, thank you, Daddy. Can I have another? As you cast your ballot, like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
we need to stop that.
Hmm.
Like, it's pretty dumb and it's very annoying because I look out there and I'm like, there's all these problems that could easily be solved, if we just wanted to solve them. Um, I, geez, I don't know. And the thing is, it isn't even just the current state of technology and our advancements and things. It's the potential that could be if we stopped blocking growth and advancement. That like get rid of patents, get rid of copyrights, all that shit. Just open source everything, unleash the human populace to fix things and go further than we've ever gone.
Yeah.
Um, but yet we're stifling it. That's like I think about all these inventions and stuff that people have come up with, and they're patented, and a company buys the patent and they just put it on a shelf because it represents
Hmm.
competition.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's like that could have been like a planet changing thing.
Yeah. I I had my name on a provisional patent application actually,
Huh.
um, about 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
uh, for a research company I was working for. It was so I worked for a pharmaceutical manufacturing, well, not manufacturing, but like pharmaceutical research facility
With
that
development or
had
something.
something
Yeah.
that was being manufactured for clinical trials and stuff. So they were kind of like firmly planted in creating pills.
Yeah.
And what I proposed to our at the time new VP of R&D
Mm-hmm.
was gene therapy.
Okay.
And this was an ophthalmology research place. And it was a gene therapy for the indication of glaucoma
Mm-hmm.
using a DNA directed RNA interference, kind of a fancy way of saying like uh, attaching a little messenger to something that could kind of like go in and target uh, a particular thing and like turn it off in the
Mm-hmm.
body so that
Yeah.
it's not creating a problem anymore. Uh, VP of R&D loved it, ran with it, had my name on the provisional patent application. Things were going pretty good. I was super excited because like here I am. It was like my first job, like even my first year out of university,
Mm-hmm.
just a bachelor's degree, and I'm looking to have my name on a patent already
Yeah.
for my idea.
Yeah.
Uh, and the board of directors decided to table it because it wasn't a pill. And
Oh,
and then after I got laid off, I heard that they were trying to fire that idea up again
oh Jesus, of
after I was
course.
gone, of course. And of course, you all signed like an NDA and,
Yep. Yeah.
like yeah, non-compete, and all your ideas become ours and everything like that. And it's like,
Hmm.
that is kind of, it's not kind of, it is bullshit.
It is bullshit. And I think when it comes to things that benefit the human population, I think we should be. I mean, I don't want to say any kind of legal repercussions or anything, but we should, as a society, shame people if they do that. Like it should
Mm.
be really bad, like dishonorable to your whole family if you're somebody who decided to make that decision. Where like effectively you kind of self-police. Um, but yeah, it's kind of like an everyday occurrence. Those kinds of things that people have these great ideas that maybe would change the world. Um, and then they get put on the shelf because it's like, well, we can't really monetize that. Um, which
Yeah, I mean, they could, but they just
they,
didn't want to.
yeah, which
Like,
is kind of wild.
it probably would have involved like making a minor modification to the lab or something.
Mhm.
Probably not even that. I mean, we actually had a huge lab full of shit we never used. Like,
Mhm.
like that CEO wasted money like crazy.
Yeah.
It's no wonder the lab got shut down. But
Hmm.
that's why I don't
Well,
care about like the NDA anymore.
yeah, and that's kind of like what I was saying about the potential. There's potential to do way, way, way more than we're doing now. That
Yeah,
like there's no excuse for us being this primitive.
right.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Like we should not be this fucking primitive. We're a bunch
Well,
of fucking monkeys
and
right now.
that's why things, ideas like not leaving people behind, allowing people the freedom to obtain education, to hone their minds and craft their ideas into something useful for the rest of humanity. I don't see that as something that should be politicized. That
No.
like that should be kind of a universal benefit that
Mm-hmm.
everyone kind of agrees is like, okay, let's make that happen. How, whatever
Yeah,
it takes to make that happen, that should be like one of the highest priorities,
sure.
you
Because
know?
you could look, even let's take the political divisions and say the left and the right or whatever. The left would be like, well, we need taxes to do that, and the right would be like, well, let's have nonprofits do that, like charity organizations, and like yeah, both would actually work. So why not use both? Why does it have to be an either
I mean,
or?
that is how the system works now,
Well, it,
though.
it is, but we should magnify that a little bit, I guess, and focus maybe.
But I
That
mean,
that's another thing is.
the problem goes deeper, though. It
Mhm.
is that, you know, be, because there is no real system that ensures that everyone has that opportunity should they want to exercise it.
Mhm.
People are being left behind. Great ideas are
Yeah,
dying on the shelf somewhere.
yeah.
Great ideas are literally dying because they don't have access to health. Um, so people die young for no good reason other than not having enough money,
Mhm.
and those ideas die with them. The potential dies with them. Maybe they saved somebody very important and very brilliant from getting hit by a car, but oh, they died of cancer a little too young, and then that person gets hit by a bus. Mind that bus, what bus splat?
Yeah.
Like it may not be them that has the idea. It could be someone they affect in the future that has the great idea. But if they never get that opportunity
Mhm.
to live their life to the fullest, to have their potential fully realized, that's a problem for everybody.
Sure. I mean, the butterfly effect is very real.
Hmm.
Um, And I guess that's kind of I agree with that like we have the technology to make most of this stuff dirt cheap.
See that,
It
people?
would
A
it'd
lefty
be
and a
like,
righty agreed on a
yeah,
philosophical fundamental idea. Like,
there we go. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
and it's like, okay, well, do you want to have the state provide those resources, or should you just allow things to evolve in such a way where it becomes super duper cheap, so cheap that anybody can afford it? Like, we we ought to be there. We Okay, only maybe like the most exotic medical procedures should be kind of expensive, but if you want to turn yourself into a literal Klingon or something, okay, well, it's going to cost you millions of dollars. But if you want to cure cancer, like get the cancer out of your body, that should be like $1,000 or something. Where it's like, okay, well, if you don't have $1,000, payment plan, pay like $10 a month or something, and but well, you're cancer free now. Like we have the technology to do that. Like, and we have the potential to advance our current technology to be able to do the things we currently can't. And yet we're just kind of chilling here, like, well, I don't know. And
yeah,
I guess maybe that's kind of what annoys me. And you have there's like an anarchist enclave somewhere out there where they're doing like this biohacking stuff. Like they have this piece of property and they're kind of just, it's free reign, just kind of experimenting, and a bunch of doctors and scientists and stuff just doing things and trying to solve problems. And it's like, we need more of that. More of
mm,
that. Yeah. Okay. Are there going to be mistakes? Uh-huh. But that's how we got where we are now, was by making mistakes. That's engineering. You make mistakes, you learn from it, you improve, and eventually it gets to the point where it's not that big of a deal. Like, does anybody ever, well, okay, maybe people do fret about hopping on a plane and flying, but we're like, it's pretty safe.
a former
Like it's,
guest, a former guest of ours actually did something like that. Had a
mm-hmm,
laboratory set up in his basement, and he
mm-hmm,
wasn't even like a science guy, right?
yeah,
He
you
just
don't
kind
have to
of
be.
did all the research on his own, and he would ask me some questions here and there about biology and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm,
And he was basically just trying to find a solution for his wife at the time. I'm not sure if
mm-hmm,
they're still married. She had some kind of rare disease that not much uh, funding was available for, and
mm-hmm,
um, nor was there even like nonprofits looking into stuff like this, and
mm-hmm.
like I'm not saying his name because like that's actually not legal, I think, to
Yeah,
do
I think,
stuff like that.
yeah, which is kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, like, ethically speaking, from like an outside perspective, I can see why that is. But
yeah,
if they're all consenting, like if she was okay with them doing that, and
that's the key right there. Because
yeah,
if you're selling a product with a title like, oh, this procedure will do this thing, okay, that's a whole different animal than you independently experimenting, hoping to save the life of your loved one.
yep,
Where everybody's like, all right, well, I'll try anything, I guess. Because, well, I've seen it with multiple loved ones where the doctors have given up. They're like, well, yeah, you got cancer. My mom,
yeah,
Nikki,
yeah,
like, they did some stuff and it didn't work. And they're like, well, eh, you're on your own now, I guess. And I'm like, all right, well, at that point, I'd try anything. Rife machine, crazy, weird, wackadoodle technology that somebody's developed. Because why not? If you're gonna die anyway, like, at least you could be part of that advancement of technology where, okay, maybe it didn't save your life, but some stuff was learned to where, oh, actually there's promise here. We could
right.
maybe do this. Like, we need more of that.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, after Randy died, he was a organ donor, and
mhm.
um, I remember it was kind of cool that they let his family know like how many people he saved and which organs
Nice.
went to them and stuff, and kind of, I think maybe like non-descriptive or non-identifying
Yeah.
features about them, just to kind of like tell a story a little bit or something. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just to know that like your loved one helped other people
Hmm.
continue living and lives on within them
Somebody else.
essentially. And
Yeah. Yeah. I'm an organ donor. And now I recognize there are problems with that whole system. But going back to what we said, it's like, well,
better than
could
having
it
nothing.
could be worse. Yeah. Like it could definitely
Yeah.
be worse. And it's almost like magic, the fact that we can do that even. In fact, just thinking about all this technology, it is magic. It's basically magic. Like we're you know, and I don't know. So because growing up, kind of being like aware of things in the 70s up until now, just seeing how things have evolved, it's incredible. It's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. And seeing the things that didn't get a chance to evolve too, because there's all these, say, like shelved projects and people who had these interesting ideas that kind of disappeared. Um, there's an interesting documentary called "It Runs on Water" that is basically about this guy who created this device to very efficiently split water into hydrogen and oxygen and used it to power like basically a dune buggy. Now, is it snake oil? It could be. However, it appeared to work. And he ended up mysteriously dying. And there were a bunch of weird, shady people coming to his house and threatening him and whatnot. And it's like, well, yeah, I could definitely see that happening. Because if it is possible to have a car that you just pour water into a tank and it runs the car,
Right.
well, look how many toes would be stepped on from that.
Yep.
Um,
And
and
that's ridiculous. Like
mhm,
the I I've heard more than a few stories like that. There was
mhm,
a guy recently that like he had videos and stuff out on social media and came up with something. I can't even remember what exactly. It might have had something to do with that, or it
mhm,
might have been like fission or fusion or whatever. Like I
mhm.
always get those two mixed up. Um,
Fission is splitting, and fusion is sticking together.
yeah, well, I know that. I just can't
Okay,
remember which one we use and which one we're trying to figure out.
it's fusion.
Uh,
Fusion is
Fusion,
the
yeah.
tricky one, yeah.
Mm.
And there's the
So it might
whole.
have been that, and then of course, like he had to go into hiding
Mhm.
because of all the like stuff
It,
going on, and it's
there's a
ridiculous. Like,
lot of money to be made in energy. There are
hmm
people like it goes beyond just a single company or whatever. It's like multiple governments across multiple countries across the world and mega corporations that if something
when
like that did come to pass, they would do anything to stop it from getting out. I
when
mean,
is enough
Nikola
enough?
Tesla too. Some of his shit,
Yeah,
his
yeah,
one of his propositions, like the Wardenclyffe project, basically pumping electricity into the earth to provide free energy for all. That
yeah.
was his goal. And well, some mysterious, shady shit happened there too. Like, oh, well, guess what? The US government came in and snatched all of his documents after he died. Like, well, why?
That
And
should be
where are they?
a quiet branch of whatever we're doing too, is trying to recreate things like Tesla's inventions and the man machine and
Yeah.
stuff, you know, like,
Yep.
because the world does need that stuff, you know, like
Sure.
we're kind of beyond a point of return, save for some miraculous inventions like those things, maybe pulling us from the brink.
Yeah.
And it's like, when is enough enough? Like,
Hmm.
we made money up out of thin air, and we're letting people die over. We're letting our these people are letting themselves
There's
slowly die over this
well, and
because
there
the
are
fucking
people
planet won't be here
choosing to
eventually.
die over that.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah.
It's beyond ridiculous. I
Well,
can't.
and there's no reason why there can't be money in circuit, like money being used and people profiting and whatnot. But like, there's also no reason why there needs to be any kind of suffering or poverty or anything like that. I mean, look at the most poverty stricken places in the world. The reason is government. Like Africa, lots of places in Africa, very poverty stricken. They're full of natural resources. They ought to be fucking sitting on piles of gold, but yet they're not. Why? Government. It's their governments. It's our government. Like everybody's complicit. And we're like, oh, well, I guess this is how things work. Okay, well, we'll send some aid over there. Oh, a little bit. Here's a couple of crackers,
Mhm.
for the kids. Like, dude, no. How about fucking steaks? Like we have the technology.
Oh man.
And that I guess it bugs me because like, this is the thing. We do agree on that like on a lot of things in that regard. Um and it's kind of annoying. It's like we should be way further ahead than we are. Yet here we are fighting fucking wars over stupid things like land and petty disagreements and stuff, like blowing shit up with all this technology we have. Like, what if we didn't do that?
Yeah.
What if, here's the what if we just kind of didn't and then diverted that to other stuff, to like improving the lives of humankind? And I going back to Neil deGrasse Tyson's book about UFOs and aliens, um, I I actually agree. Reagan back in the day had a really excellent speech that was basically targeted at the USSR, but it was essentially, he said that if like we basically need an alien invasion, because if aliens invaded, all of planet Earth would come together to stop that threat. That
Mm.
like that's the it's it's basically the only thing that's going to turn the tide, um essentially, that like we need something way bigger than us, like where we're like, well, we're fucked
Well, the
unless we
most
work
powerful
together.
part of that was when he said, "But is there not already an alien threat among us?
Yeah.
What could be
Yep.
more alien than the threat of war,
Mm-hmm.
or like the war
War and the threat of war.
or in the threat of war?" Yeah,
Yeah.
like that was
Like
good.
that's one of the best speeches. Like holy shit. And he said that before the UN, I believe. um and I mean, yeah, that would change things. Suddenly we'd be like, well, why are we fighting each other? Like, what, the threat's up there, this fucking flying saucers and shit with lasers, and like we got to deal with that. And then in doing that, it'd be like what was the Star Trek TNG episode? I think it was called The Enemy, where Romulan and Geordi like crash landed on a planet and they had to like end up trying to
Mm.
work together to survive. Um, and in the end, they became friends, put aside their differences. It's like, yeah, yeah, that will absolutely do that. Like sometimes it just takes a kick in the ass to get
I
people to
mean,
kind of be like, I don't know.
we've already got existential threats uh, coming from the environment,
Yeah.
whatever caused it or is
Hmm.
causing it
Yeah.
is irrelevant,
True.
in the face of the fact that like we're essentially sitting on our hands and doing nothing as a
It-
globe, like
I
we're
no, I
not
agree.
working together
Yeah.
to to combat that at all, really.
Well, and,
Like,
and I guess a good way to
well, not
kind of,
at all, but like not
well,
enough,
yeah,
like
not enough. Exactly. Well, and it's sort of like things are changing. We know that. And sure, maybe the projections are a little inaccurate. That, well, we got a little bit of time, but like, does that mean we should just kind of sit and wait? No. Like if we it's one of those things where it's a lot easier, like a what is it,
how
an
often does
ounce
your
of
weather app say it's not going to rain and then all of a sudden you're
yeah.
soaking wet? Like
Well, what's
things
the
can
saying,
change
like,
on a dime, like
yeah.
and actually I didn't mean that to be proof of climate change. I just meant it to be like, you know, uh, making predictions about things, you know,
Yeah. Well, and
things change rapidly,
yeah, and
is
the
all I'm saying.
saying an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's like, hey, it'd be a lot easier to deal with things and mitigate whatever's going on if we kind of, like, it would take a lot less resources until, unless we wait for like 100 years and we're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
oh, this is bad. um, and but what we're at, the point we're at, is essentially where we know things are changing, um, and it's probably not for the better, um, and yet we're stuck bickering about like the why. Like, okay, well, it does. Look, there's a burglar in the house. Don't
Yeah.
don't be like, oh well, how did he get in? Like, I don't care how he got in. He's in. We got to
That
deal
goes
with
back
this
to the
burglar.
ego death that you were talking about.
Yeah,
Like, only in this case, it's a little bit more like profit death, which
yeah.
is actually really just profit shifting because all they have to do is just invest in the new technology
Mm-hmm.
for energy and make profit from that. Like, I
Yeah.
don't see a fucking complication in that, but whatever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like that's all it takes is like we don't have to argue about the why. Like we know the why and we know what we could do to change it, but profit is in the way of that, you know?
Sure.
Patents are in the way of that. You
Patents.
know,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
corporatocracy is in the way of
Yep.
that. Like all
Yep.
of like we know where the problems are. We just need a way that we the people can solve it because the people
No.
that can solve it absolutely won't because they benefit from not solving it.
Uh,
At least now
exactly,
they do. They'll
man.
be dead
That's
eventually too.
mm-hmm.
Like,
No, that's a good point. See, now I'm gonna have to listen to Topaz by the B-52s. It's one of my favorite songs of theirs. I fucking love that song. But it's kind of like this hippy dippy song, but it goes into kind of primitive stuff, and then in the end, it's talking about starships and stuff, and like, but yet the planet is, you know, awesome, I guess. It's a good song. My summary sucks, but um, it's like we can have our cake and eat it too. Essentially, like there can be profit, there can be, you know, people making money, doing really well, getting your yachts and whatnot, and there could be people who want to be large and in charge, but also we can solve these big problems, and everybody could be lifted. Everybody, like, again, going back to
yeah.
Africa, South America, there's places in South America where it's like, dude, they have so much resources there that are untapped, and it's because the government.
Well, that's what I'm talking about with triangulating a vector toward things that work, like
Yeah.
what you just described here in Germany. There may be higher taxes, There may be a better social safety net, but there's
Mm-hmm.
also no poverty. But there's also still rich people that have yachts that
Yeah.
even admit they don't pay enough tax. But still, like, there are more things in play that provide people with more fundamental freedom
Yeah.
than aesthetic freedom, you know? And
Sure.
like that
When I
does
think,
prove what you just said is true. Like you
mm-hmm.
can still make profit, but
Mm-hmm.
you can also still have the protections for certain things, you know, like it is possible.
I would,
Absolutely.
and that's where like a societal paradigm shift is important to where like it used to be back in the day, the government didn't do well, at least like in the US, the government didn't do like 90% of what it does today as far as like providing all these social programs and stuff. It was charities, and it was the wealthy who paid for those. They would like build hospitals and libraries and colleges and stuff, and like provide these kind of financial support systems for people. It, it, that's what we need. We can do that
Yeah.
again, but we also need to be like, hey, look, bro, you're making all this money and you're just kind of not doing anything with it. Like shame
I
on
think
you.
I think one of the fundamental differences outside of course, all the lobbying and stuff that's occurred since then, let's say since like the 20s and 30s, like the blue chip stock days
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, you know, like these people that kind of made money from scratch
Mm-hmm.
and became very wealthy in those days. Like
Yeah.
they remembered poverty,
Yep.
but then they had kids that
Mm-hmm.
never knew poverty. And those generations, like it evolved out of them
Like
that,
zeroed out the
yeah,
the
the
lessons
the
learned.
empathy
Mm-hmm.
vanished and was replaced by greed.
Yeah.
And that's one of the places where problems occur. Like that's why like today you don't really have mega rich people that actually built that by themselves from scratch. They had a loan from their parents, they had a loan from their rich friends, whatever. Like rich people today get rich through connections and rubbing elbows and stuff like that, not hard work, not good ideas. Like it's cunning and sneakiness and
But
like
it's
generally not
definitely,
good things.
the
Like,
proportion has shifted, but there's still quite a few people who've become wealthy who did it the old fashioned way. Um, and you'll see it in philanthropic actions. Like those people
mm,
are the
mhm.
ones who are like, well, I'm going to start some kind of charitable organization or whatever and like donate to all these things because I've been there.
Yeah.
Like it, ugh, I don't know how to solve that particular thing, but maybe there's a way of like using some kind of aikido with greed. I think just, well, not having government would be that way, because they'll leverage the government to employ their force to do things.
Yeah. Well, that's a more complicated
Mm-hmm.
subject that we shouldn't begin on just now, but we
No.
have had plenty of conversations along those lines, and I've posited a couple ideas. There was like a smart currency idea I had
Mm-hmm.
years ago, and then that integrity coin slash commercy idea,
Yeah.
because my thinking is like if you don't want an entity to be regulating it, have the currency regulate itself,
Mm-hmm.
is probably the direction it needs to go. It's just how to make that happen is
And
is the big question. But I feel
sure.
like that would be a good avenue to go down, you know, like make it so that the buying power kind of reduces over time if you're just sitting on it or something. That was the smart currency
Hmm.
thinking I was following,
And
that sort of thing. Like
I think
then it
that's,
encourages you to put it back into the economy. Like
yeah, and I think that's where having more minds at work in
mhm.
attempting to come up with solutions and ideas and different ways of thinking, like we need more people. We need people who know stuff. It's like, all right, you might have your ideas about what is involved in doing brain surgery, but would you um, undergo such a procedure with like a garbage collector doing it? No.
Right.
You'd want a brain surgeon, and you wouldn't want a brain surgeon collecting your garbage. Like, no, you want the people who know what the fuck they're doing to be the ones doing the thing.
So like carefully extracting the banana peel without
Yeah,
touching the
yeah.
edges of the garbage can. It's like,
It's
dude, you're
got like
taking too long.
hemostats on the garbage bags and stuff, Like, oh, man.
Suction. I needed
Yeah,
suction.
suction.
No.
Well, and that's why we like it. It's important to defer to people who know what they're doing, um, to do the things that need to be done. Um, like obviously, like I wouldn't want like a pilot to be fixing my car, and I wouldn't want an auto mechanic to be flying a plane that I'm in. I'd be like, are you sure you know what you're doing? Okay, unless they're Sky King, then of course. But that's where like having more minds, people who know stuff, who can bring their expertise.
I think Sky King recently did or Netflix did a Sky King documentary recently,
Really?
or somebody did. I saw it on streaming,
Huh.
but I didn't actually watch it.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, that story is wild. I mean, there's like professional pilots who are like, that plane should not be able to do that thing. And
I
this guy's
always did wonder though. I was always like, could you actually turn one of those planes upside down? And yeah, I guess you can.
yep. If you're ballsy enough,
All the in-flight magazines were probably all
yeah.
scattered about it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that
Well,
was, yeah.
I have
Bladder's
to get up
telling
a
me
little
it's
early, but
my bladder's telling
definitely,
me it's time to end things. So
yeah, yeah,
this
definitely
is good
covered a
though.
lot of good
This is
stuff though,
this
and
is good. Yeah.
we did go over a few fact-checking items, and
Yep. And we can go over more. I like any, it's important to
hmm,
correct stuff if we like said something that isn't true or it's a little off or whatever. Because I think typically things are a little off, not necessarily like, oh, that's not true.
well,
Um,
I mean, look at the great conversation that it it drove.
mm-hmm,
Like talking about um, the ability to create a new nation being
mm-hmm,
easier than we thought it was actually. Like
yeah,
it's sometimes it's a huge benefit to find out that you were wrong, and maybe
mm-hmm,
the actual reality is even better than you imagined it to be.
yeah.
Like you were kind of locking yourself into this, the whole rope around the elephant's leg thing.
Like a
Um,
spatial imitation
yeah.
kind of thing.
So, um,
No, I like that
there,
idea. That is,
yeah,
yeah.
like there's actually a lot of um, freedom in finding faults in your reasoning and
Mm-hmm.
adjusting your thinking,
Yep.
um, because it really uh, it's like you've have you ever been like stuck in the mud and the wheels are spinning or what, and then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden it catches and you're just going. Like
Yeah.
that's what it feels like in the
Mm-hmm.
brain to be like, oh, that's how it actually is.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting more ideas. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yep.
now I can see a path forward that I didn't
Mhm.
see before because I had this idea wrong. And,
Yeah, well, because yeah, you're basically like wasting your efforts on a path that doesn't have the destination you're wanting,
right.
I guess.
Mhm.
And it's healthy to like uh correct yourself, admit mistakes and whatnot. I mean, fuck, we all fail.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh well, failure is actually how we get better.
Yep.
And yeah.
So if there's any universities out there looking for some honorary doctorates to
Mhm.
bestow and philosophy classes to be taught, and we're your guys.
We're the dynamic duo.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
Wonder Twin powers activate.
I think that would be the actually a great breeding ground
Mm,
for brilliant ideas to come to fruition. And just like one closing thought, like one of my favorite classes
mm.
in university was Brain and Behavior, taught by Doug Wacker. He was a guest on our show in season one.
Yep.
There's other professors that teach it as well, but at University of Washington, Bothell, it was a class that technically had a lot to do with biology, but it had no biological prerequisites whatsoever. Anybody could take the class. And it
Mm.
was essentially philosophical discussion about the mind.
Hmm.
Uh, there was, of course, a lot of biology about how the brain works and how that probably correlates to what we consider to be how the mind works and everything. And there was discussions about the philosophies behind that, and
Hmm.
you would get perspectives from nursing students, from business students, and like it was
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Like
that's cool.
people with completely different educational backgrounds, interests, hobbies, rather than just all the nerds in one class competing
Hmm.
for the best grade or whatever. Like it was more about thinking, and
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. Well,
not
and
just
it
thinking about the thing that
about
makes us think.
yeah.
Phew,
Whoa.
think about that.
Ah. Oh boy. Yeah. Well, and it's almost like an echo chamber eliminator at that point.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because like you said like all the nerds getting together. Like, no, it isn't a bunch of nerds, it's a bunch of regular people
Yeah.
from all walks of life coming together. That's what we need to craft.
Yep.
Something like that.
That's what I would. That's how I would kind of frame a class if I were to teach one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if there's anybody out there from other countries, you're welcome to come aboard. Um,
Yeah.
Wherever. I mean, I know English and a little bit of Russian, so it's not that useful if we can't communicate. But um, I'll
I mean,
I'll learn
there's a
a
lot of
language.
countries where English is pretty prevalent though,
Mhm.
and enough, certainly enough so that we could get a lot of global perspective. It would be great to have a roundtable discussion on this show with a bunch of people from around the world and
All around the world. Yeah.
talking about some of these things. So hopefully that someday,
Well,
season 9, season 10, maybe.
yeah, and well, people can look at like the U.S. or countries in Europe and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, there's problems, but basically those problems exist in all countries.
Yeah.
Everybody's dealing with the same bullshit. So, like, how about we come up with a way to fix that, to make that
Yeah.
bullshit disappear? I don't know.
Indeed.
Maybe that's too ambitious, but anyway, yeah, my bladder is about
Yep.
to explode. So, everybody take care of each other out there. And thanks for joining us. And, share your comments as always.